Hello, my name's Rebecca. I'm deaf and I'm using British Sign Language. Whilst I sign, my interpreter, Stephanie, will be voicing me over in English for the audience. I work for SignHealth, the deaf health charity. I'm a director of Communications and Fundraising. I joined them 2 years ago and it's been I've learned so much. Going back to my early career, so really I didn't aim at fundraising, it was an accident. How I started, I was actually doing a biology degree. That was my favourite side of science. I worked as a forensic scientist and then I decided to travel around the world. I got into New Zealand and at that point I was a pretty broke backpacker. I went across to the Deaf Club and I found there was a vacancy for a fundraiser. I had to go, applied, and I got the job. So obviously had to apply for a work permit visa, and that situation really changed my life. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to improve deaf people's lives, and I really enjoyed it. When I moved back to the UK, I worked for RNID. I knew I needed to have basic training, so I decided to go to a master's degree course in charity marketing and fundraising. That degree really gave me the groundwork for learning how charity law works, how charity finance works, all the various important principles that were related to fundraising. That really established my knowledge, and I've been working in the sector so far now for 20 years. I specialise in trusts, so statutory fundraising. I then joined SignHealth. That was my first role as a director, and I've learned so much, and I'm happy to share that with you today. So when I joined, the first thing that was really important for any charity, you need to understand their vision, their mission, their purpose. What are their aims? What are they looking to achieve? What is their 3-year plan? It's so important to fully understand that, take that in and understand in a clear way the direction and the objectives they want to achieve. That will give you your milestones, your objectives. You'll know clearly who you are as a leader for your department, what you need to aim for in order to keep things going. It will allow you to create KPIs and also plan for your team. That's really helped me. So for the first 3 months when I joined SignHealth, that knowledge was really important when joining. I made sure I asked a lot of questions. I wanted to understand the organisation as much as possible. Of course, naturally, in your fundraising analysis previously, you'll pick up on various information, but to become a leader, it's important to really establish what is the organisation's overall plan. Once you've got that, you can establish that for the team. You can then go ahead and monitor it and make sure targets are being met. So another thing, when you join a new team, you work with new members of staff, maybe other directors, but also your chief executive and the board, and you also manage your team. It's really useful to take in their colour energy. I was involved with the ColourWorks Insights model. That enabled me to recognise my colour and the colours of my colleagues and of those collegial peers, those above and those below, so I could therefore develop skills to communicate with different types of people. That really enabled me to effectively work with my team and meant that I could achieve for everybody. So naturally, as a leader, it's so important that when you have an ambitious plan, you really put your passion into it. You want to feel you fully are supportive of that plan. So you need to know what is motivating you. What am I doing here? What's bringing me to work? If you have a real passion for the cause of the organisation, you have belief in the work, and it really allows you to express and inspire your team. Work with your colleagues and also the leaders within your organisation. Work with them effectively because you believe in the work. It's really important to remember your motivations. I feel that's a real key skill. Take those on board and take them with you in your work, because every day you want to get out of bed and feel motivated. You know, today I'll be aiming for this, this, and this. And I want to make a difference. I want to make changes. I want to impact people's lives or animals' lives. You know, it gives you the motivation. You know you're in the right role to deliver as a leader. For me, I work for SignHealth. So a deaf health charity that's aiming to improve deaf people's health and well-being. There's a lot of injustices in the deaf community. Deaf people, do they have the same access to health as hearing people? No, significantly worse. Do they have the same access to mental health services as hearing people? No, much worse. There are so many barriers, so many injustices, so many institutional barriers. And systemic oppression is present. That means that deaf people are always trying to navigate themselves around barriers and issues. That's why, for me, as a deaf person, I feel extremely passionate for the cause. I am here to remove these barriers. I want to achieve equality and equity for deaf people in order for them to access health on the same level as everybody else, the same level as my fundraising colleagues, for example. So that's my typical day, why I bother to roll up my sleeves and get myself moving. And finally, I'll tell you a little bit about what it really means to be a leader. What skills do you need for this type of role? So I found in order to lead a various team, I need to be quite resilient. I need to feel that I've set achievements that are quite high for my team. I've found that authenticity is a key skill, honesty, vulnerability, being open with your team. We're still within a pandemic and you need to be able to show you're still human. We might be doing homeschooling or whatever in our own homes. Showing that vulnerability whilst you're communicating with your team is appreciated because it's a more personal touch. And also culture-wise, sometimes the culture needs to be changed. So for example, through the pandemic, we could not continue the same way of working as before. We had to change. And the team really appreciated the adaptability of that. Whatever climate, whatever environment we're working in, whatever happens, we can be changeable to adapt. We need to communicate with our team. It's also important, lastly, the purpose that we obviously want to improve deaf people's health and well-being. How do we achieve our purpose? We work within the team, we create co-production, we take insights from our team, we want them to contribute, we want their expertise from various teams. We're not expecting one person to know everything, so we expect the individuals within the various teams to feed back on what they believe, and that can help us shape our plans, shape our objectives, and shape the milestones for the team. Take your team with you, take them on the journey, and they will appreciate you as a leader in that way. Oh, last thing to add, with regard to your team, you need to give them a high level of support and motivation, but also challenge them. Then they will become motivated, and that's why they will bother too. Thank you. Hope to see you. Get in touch, Twitter, all the various handles. I can give you the details later. Bye.